We have had a valuta crisis in Europe, where you as Czech Republic were connected to and are still having the effects on, and today we are having a refugee crisis in Europe. And this all have an impact at the end. What we clearly see on the European level is clearly what I would call a renationalization trend. And I'd like to explore a little bit on that. I'm aware of the fact that being part of Europe was not always beneficial for your industry on the short term. I acknowledge and I realize that there were quite some substantial interruptions and quite some challenging aspects you had to face. On the other hand, I'm quite sure that you will agree with me that being one European market also, when you look to commodity trade, when you look to cross-border possibilities, has also a lot we have gained from. And I am worried about losing these gains. Secondly, I'd like to say a few words about renationalization and populism. It is very popular to discuss in this stage about renationalization. And we as FIFAC are very worried about certain files which are on the table, where we are now at this moment discussing in good faith with the European institutions, and where we think we have a good hearing and rehearing, like the GM opt-out proposal, which is now what they call a little bit in the fridge, which is in the freezer. But we are very worried that during this renationalization debates, such a subject can suddenly be of very high importance, not because of the subject, but because it can be an interesting showcase how renationalization can work. And this is about populism. It is time to cooperate. It is time to convince, and Minister, you have said it correctly. You are an island here in this part of Europe. You have a positive attitude towards GM, which I think is very clever. But when I look around these countries, your neighboring countries, I'm very worried. And what I never realized so much is how important at the end the European Parliament is. And the European Parliament does not consist of Europeans, but does consist of national delegates which are voting nationally on the European Parliament. So I really call for action also to influence your national delegates and these of neighboring countries about the big impacts of such a thing as GM, trade, etc., etc. It is a big subject. As FIFAC, what we are saying basically is we do not need additional legislation. If consumers are asking for GM-free products, we are happy to deliver. This is a commercial issue and we do not need additional legislation on that. We welcome the relationship which is already there for many years with the SKK. It started with Marek Kumprecht as being for a long period vice president, also Michael Karras, and indeed we are waiting today for a new vice president. It is extremely important that your voice is also being heard in the European context. And by saying a few names, I am missing important other names like Mr. Babis, who was involved, Mr. Kubiska, who is involved, Iri Donhal and André Thoman. Perhaps I completely mispronounced your name, sorry for that, but they are involved and they are very valuable members of the FIFA community. I realize that the Czech Republic came into a complex transition phase. It is, and the prospects of these countries here, like Czech Republic, are very good. You do not have this very intense connection or where what you see in a lot of Western European countries, where the citizens are living on the countryside, which is having a major impact on regulations and possibilities of farms to grow. So your possibilities as a country to grow are tremendous, but I realize that it is a complex process and a lot of hard work to do. but your future is very prosperous. I really like to emphasize, and I'm very happy that the minister is here, but the relationship between the feed industry and governments is not always that easy. It is not always seen, the feed industry, as a major contribution to the profitability of livestock farming. But feed is 60 to 70% of the costs of a farmer. Having these discussions today about the possibilities for the pig sector, the possibilities for the dairy sector to survive in these times of very low prices, the cost of feed play an essential role. And I really ask you to take your responsibility and to establish more cooperation with the governments as it is today. This is a subject everywhere in Europe. There is so much to gain. When you look to feed costs, for example, I saw research. When you really feed pigs for what they really nutritionally need, gains of 15 to 20% are be able to make. But it needs innovation, it needs new technologies, it needs implementation, it needs investments. But there is so much to gain. When I discussed the subject of feed safety, we discussed this morning. This is a very important subject. We have more and more demanding customers around us. You are very close to Germany. Germany is having a very high demand there were no problems here, but there were problems somewhere else, and they will impact your business. So on feed safety, there are more and more requests. But at the same moment, we see that the cooperation with the competent control authorities is often lacking. We think that trust should be built. Next week, I'm discussing in Dublin with the FVO, the Feed and Veterinary Office, about how can we strengthen the relationship between the feed sector on one side, with all their private controls, all their private schemes which they have there, and at the same moment strengthen the relationship for the competent control authorities. At the end, there is a lot of bureaucracy, there is a lot of frustration, and that could be avoided to build on reliable systems, to exchange information, and to realize that at the end we are aiming at the same goal, delivering food which is trustworthy, food which can be accepted, and which where consumers can benefit from. There is plenty to do. Foster innovation, implementation of feed safety schemes. We on our side, in the European Feed Association, will contribute to the discussion by starting up a benchmarking system for all the different private schemes to create transparency throughout the European market and also to help facilitate this process. The GM issue is on the table. It is not going anywhere. We discussed this morning about protein. You touched the subject too. How are we going to, with all the discussions on the impact we have in the production areas, like in Brazil, like in Argentina, the discussion on deforestation and the impact we have on the social and environmental aspects of the raw materials we are importing. We have to deal with these issues. And these issues are dealt both in Brussels, but it is also dealt here on a national basis. The national discussions with government, with parliamentarians, and with Euro parliamentarians is of extreme importance. I'm here with pride. I'm here because at the end the feed sector in Europe is delivering 150,000 jobs, delivering 150 million tons of compound feed. It is an industry in good shape and also with a prosperous future to combine environmentally friendly, innovative, efficient feeding for the future. And I'm very happy to be here, to be able to share our ideas with you. I wish you all the best. I congratulate you with your achievements of the last 25 years, and I'm looking forward for the next 25 years to come and for the new achievements we have to make. Thank you very much.